All right, I want to tell a little story about one of America's most beloved and well-respected companies, Adobe. All right, so I posted a Flash file on Twitter yesterday that crashes Flash sometimes when trying to open it. This is that Flash file converted to an XFL, which just means that it like explodes out all the files, so you can actually like edit them in text and like see what the actual data of the file is. Um, but yeah, so this file right here, cursedtween.xfl, if I try to open it, it will sometimes, but not always, make Flash crash. Like you see right here, it made Flash crash. Like it has an error report, it has a call stack. It crashes in a function called point length, which we'll get back to. But it's not always. It doesn't always crash. Like the file opens sometimes. Yeah, like that time it opened. So I have all the file is this one little tween right here. Now this is isolated from one of our actual work files, and I turned the art into a square, and I got rid of everything in the library that wasn't necessary, and every frame and every layer that wasn't necessary to cause this crashing issue. And it is this tween that causes it to crash. If I remove the tween, the crash issue is gone. Um, if I put the tween back in, sometimes it makes it crash when you try to add the tween on. Sometimes it doesn't if you save it. And it's the tween. The tween causes it to crash sometimes upon opening. Now we have two files in our repository for Mugenics that have this issue. Um, one of them was it. We knew there was a specific enemy's art had this issue, which is where I isolated this one from. And so that file, that enemy got quarantined out into its own Flash file, so that it doesn't make the big enemies file crash half the time when trying to open it. The other file was the cat animations file, which is way too large of a file to properly like bisect to find out which random ass frame or tween makes it crash. So what I wanted to do ideally was save this file as an XML or an XFL, and then see if I could find anything in here that was suspicious that might be causing Flash to crash. And from experimenting, the only thing that I find that's weird is this one value called rig propagation matrix, which is on both of these, has some garbage values. Like this is the integer minimum, so just all ones. Um, so there's some garbage values in here. Flash does try to tween this property, and as far as I can tell, it doesn't do anything. So why is this here? What causes it? Why does it make Flash crash? And like, does removing it do anything? Um, so I asked Mike Welsh, the Ruffle guy, if he knows anything, knows what that value is, and he said it's something related to advanced layer parenting. So this is here's just a blank file uh, that I can show it in. So let's see. This is what the file looks like currently. There's nothing in here. If we make a symbol like a box, let's keep it in the center. And then we look at the XML file again. It places the symbol on there. If we insert a keyframe here and do a tween, and then we just like, I don't know, do a little tween like that. You move the registration point around, even though it confuses Flash. Whatever, you get the point. It's a tween. We have all this tween stuff in here. Nothing about rig propagation matrix. But if we add a layer here, and we add a second box on the bottom layer, and then we do this like parenting thing where we make this a parent of one. The bottom box is like rigged to the top layer in some way. Um, it's something to do with their skeletal animation stuff. I don't know any animators that actually use that. But if you do this, okay, so this is where it's supposed to put rig propagation matrix in here, but it doesn't. But if you actually then like do something like this, like if you just mix it up a bit like that, it should, yeah. So this time it generates this value right here, and best we can tell is that this is like just a relationship between this one's transform and this one's transform for this weird skeletal animation stuff. But then what we also notice is that if you remove this relationship, like the layer is not apparent anymore, um, this value stays in the file. So it's not used for anything, but Flash just keeps the value around just in case you want to use it. This isn't the issue though. Like this isn't why this value is there because none of our animators use this feature, and I don't know any animators in Flash that actually use this their skeletal animation stuff. So I don't know. There's some other shit going on. But now here's a curious thing, and that I found out. I'm gonna sneeze. Never mind. Let's put a symbol back on the stage. So we this is back to not having the rig propagation matrix set anymore. If you scale and do this, move it around, all it's changing is the its regular transformation matrix, which looks completely normal. But now, put two of them together. Just any two objects. If you select them as a group and move them around, nothing. It's fine. You got two objects with two different things. But now, if you like rotate them a little bit, suddenly we got rig propagation matrix in here. I don't know what it's doing this for. I think it's something Flash is storing internally, like the relationship between the selection box and these things. We don't know. But there's another curious aspect of this where if you just repeatedly do small changes, you can't see it yet, but this value starts exploding. I'm going to try to get this to explode. I got it to explode. I don't know why it's not exploding this time. Somehow, I've like when I was doing this before, if you just did this like repeatedly, this would eventually explode into negative infinity. Doesn't seem to be doing it right now. Maybe it had to have two layers to do it. Let's try this again, just with like two things. Right, let's put another layer in here. Yeah, there's some values in there now. All those values went to 0. Yeah, I don't know how it got, but I don't know how I was able to do it, but when I was testing around with it, there was something you could do where if one of these values became like negative a lot or whatever, and it was something to do with this free transform. The value would just turn in that negative infinity value, and I'm pretty sure that when you try to tween that, that it ends up getting like a not a number. I swear, like I was able to do this yesterday when I was testing. So maybe it has to be inside of a clip. Means that we're gonna want to look at this one. Oh, this would be symbol two. There we go. I got it to explode. I knew it was something like that. Either way, you fiddle with it enough, and then you end up with these garbage values right here. Now this isn't very contrived. Like this is something an animator would be doing a lot, where they're editing these around slightly, but it seems it's not that hard to just to make this explode to negative infinity. And now, like if I put like a frame here, and if I put a layer above it, and I put something on that layer, and then I try to make layer two be a parent of layer one, then it crashes because these garbage values right here, it doesn't know what to do with them, and that's where the crash comes from. Now the layer parenting, like this makes sense because rig propagation matrix is part of the rigging thing. But I think what's happening is when you set it to tween, it's trying to interpolate this garbage matrix with the next one, and it gets some type of man value at its point, and it causes the length function to die sometimes. I don't know why it's only sometimes. It's probably looking up something in a lookup table and going out of bounds because it's getting garbage values from the length. But yeah, I don't think Adobe's ever gonna fix anything related to this. I've reported so many bugs to them, and they last for fucking years, and they're still there. But at least now I can run a Python script that just deletes this value out of the flash file and lets us actually open it without crashing again. So yeah, that took me probably like 4 hours yesterday to figure out, but we can open our cursed files again, and deleting this value doesn't seem to have any negative consequences because we don't use the thing that it's meant for anyway. So that's my story about just how much we all love and respect Adobe.